Well, it's Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Happy
To you
Thursday.
this
Thank
Thursday
you.
in Advent.
I appreciate it. The
Yeah.
first Thursday of Advent.
It is the first Thursday.
You know, it's crazy. Last Thursday, Thanksgiving.
So I was thinking about that as you mentioned Thursday. I was like, is that possible that last Thursday was Thanksgiving?
It was. It really-
It doesn't seem possible.
yeah. When we have weeks like this, what it feels like is in a car when you downshift, like because you just go from one season right into
Yeah.
something else, and you're just like, okay, let's go, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that is wild to think about.
From
that was
turkeys
Thanksgiving.
to frost-covered trees.
Yes, we are. That
Yeah.
is where we're at.
So I was hoping you'd be here today, but it's not. I ordered something
An inversion table for the studio.
for the studio. So
Two of them.
Two of them. We're gonna do this together,
Yeah.
and then we'll get a third so Philip can play like this,
He
like Jerry
is-
Lee Lewis.
Is very capable of doing that. He can actually invert on the piano bench we have.
Yeah, he doesn't
right
even
there.
need
Yes.
the machine.
Yes.
No, not an inversion table for the studio. I ordered a decoration that I will bring and set up in here. So I should have it on Tuesday.
Okay.
So it's something to look forward to. If you want to join us on Tuesday, I will have
I do.
a special Christmas decoration that I ordered, and it's Amazon has it, waiting for it.
Well, how about that?
So-
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'll be here.
It may not stay here the whole season. I might bring it home. But speaking of
But
decorations,
it's something that's allowed at home too.
it is.
Oh, look at
Unlike
that.
the pumpkin head
Yeah.
and my red shoes, those
Yeah.
those are verboten in
Yeah.
my household.
So something allowed in the studio and
at
okay,
home. So
okay.
this might actually be something decent.
Let's see. Yeah. How about that?
So last night I told you on Tuesday we were gonna decorate the tree for,
You did.
It-
It was Rachel's birthday.
and it didn't happen.
The birthday happened.
The birthday happened.
Yes.
Yes, she got a year older.
So the birthday went well.
Birthday went well.
But as far as setting up everything for
she
Christmas.
she had told me she wanted to lay low, not go out. So
Mm-hmm.
we ordered in pizza
Okay.
and we ate, and then she said, "I don't have the energy to do the tree." So she was tired.
You know what? It's sometimes when those birthdays lie in the middle of the week. It's after. I mean, she didn't take the day off.
No,
from
she
work,
worked.
and so it's just like
Yeah.
it gets to be a big day. And
Exactly.
to do all the Christmas decorating is not nothing.
It's not nothing. So
Yeah.
right now in our living room, there is a tall Christmas tree box with a nativity box on it, with a Tupperware of ornaments on top of that.
So it's all there.
It's all there.
Decorated in its own way.
In its own way.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything. Christmas is out at our house.
Christmas is out.
It's
Yes.
just still in its containers.
Container form.
I said maybe this is just how we do Christmas this year. Put
I'm
the
sure it looks
presents
great. Did
around
you take any pictures of it?
around the box. No, I thought about it this morning. I really did. I thought
Yeah,
about it. It's like
yeah.
show everybody my
Christmas decorations are out.
my IKEA Christmas here.
Yeah.
Everything's in a box and unassembled.
Yeah.
So no, it did not get to it. Maybe tonight, which will be somewhat on me because Rachel is the baker in her house, and she's a good baker. She has already made all the dough for the cookies she is baking for the Christmas concert bake sales.
Great.
And one of the cookies that she made is a recipe that goes back, I guess we got to go 80 years. It was my grandmother Bergeron. So,
You okay?
so my dad's mom, she found a recipe for a cookie called a date pinwheel. And a date pinwheel is like this brown sugar / molasses type dough, and then chopped and sweetened dates, really
Yeah,
fine. And then
yeah.
you roll it so that when you slice it, it's the pinwheel.
Gotcha.
And it is my father's absolute favorite cookie because his mom made it for him.
Oh wow.
And so,
do
luckily,
they stand up in the mail if you tried to mail it?
yes, and we've done that
Okay.
before. So we will do
Yeah.
that again. But not only did my grandmother make them, obviously, but then pass that recipe on to my mom, who made them for my dad for 50 years.
Okay.
And we found that recipe, and so Rachel started making them. So this is
That's kind of cool. But especially when
literally,
it's something that has a history, has a story.
yeah, literally
to go
3
along with it.
generations of
Yeah.
Bergrens making date pinwheels, and kind
Date
of fun.
pinwheels out of all things. Yeah. Date
Yeah,
pinwheels. How about that?
and they're
Yeah.
actually really good and moist.
That's
and
great. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, so she's making some of those for the bake sale, and not sure if she's going to make, not for the bake sale, but for me, the Swedish pepperkaker, which is like
Talked
gingerbread.
about pepperkaker
Yeah,
before.
it's more spicy than gingerbread because it has a few more aromatics in it, and they're paper thin and crispy. They're kind of my go-to.
Pepperkaker.
She made some for me last year, and
Okay. Yeah.
not sure if that'll happen this year, but we got the date pinwheels coming to the bake sales. So
Wonderful.
yep. So while she bakes tonight, I thought
Could be a time.
for me to set up the tree and the nativity scene and
Get it all set.
get it all set up. So that's what I'm working on.
That's exciting.
It is.
That's exciting. I
It
think
is.
we're all set up at my house. So
Oh,
yeah. There could always be something else, but I think set up.
That's the way Christmas is. There could always be another
There's-
decoration.
Yes, there could always be more.
Yeah.
But I think we've got it. I think we've got it rolling. The boys were a help this year. I think they helped out last year. Otherwise,
Yep.
before it's just kind of been
Yep.
they help for a second, then maybe take off.
Yeah. Right. The initial excitement has worn off. Call me when it's done.
Call me when it's done.
Call me
I
when
want to
it's
see
done.
it. I want to plug it in.
It's like
Yeah.
asking little kids to help paint. You
Yes.
know.
They love it.
They're
Enough
good
to
for-
get it all over their hair.
Yep, 10
and then
minutes.
they're gone.
And then they're gone.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Same,
it's a
same
great
thing.
deal.
Right. So, update in the sanctuary.
Okay.
It's in the newsletter, but since you're watching, I'm going to tell you. And I don't think it really applies to a whole lot of folks who watch the broadcast, but I'm going to put it out
We
there
shall see.
anyways. But it's also in the, it'll be in the newsletter for tomorrow, is with the rearrangement of the choir loft this past month.
Yes.
And then today we received our last choir barrier that we added another one.
So that finally arrived.
That arrived. It's
Okay,
in.
great.
It looks great.
Great.
But what that means is everybody who sits on the choir side of the sanctuary in that last section on the far right, there's some obstructed view just because of the shift, right?
Just because there's choirs. There's the choir there.
So this is what we've done is there is now a 75-inch TV monitor behind the choir riser, which will have the live feed, just like what we have on the
So it'll
back
be just
screen.
as live. There won't be
Just
a lag
as live.
there.
Nope,
or
no
anything.
lag. It's not the taking it from Facebook 30 seconds later.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the live feed. But then what we also did today is Dennis and I went upstairs and we sat in that section in various spots and we located in each row where the obstruction begins.
Okay.
And we put a piece of yellow tape because there's armrests on every seat on the two sides. So we sat and found where that delineation between I have almost a clear view of the center of the sanctuary versus you're going to be seeing the choir safety rail or a person sitting in the choir seats. I actually had Dennis sitting up there so I could kind of see,
Yeah.
and then I go, now let me sit up there, you see. So we've put a yellow piece of tape on the armrest, not all of them, but just the one in each row that delineates a somewhat clear view of the center to from this side to the wall, where it would be obstructed to some degree or completely in some cases. But that's why we have the TV monitor.
Yeah.
So
So
we've,
especially as we get closer to Christmas Eve
you
and
know,
some holiday concerts.
and even the concert this weekend and Christmas Eve and of course Easter. On most weekends, there's enough capacity for folks to sit in various places. There's always empty seats, not gaping empty seats, but there's enough empty seats for people to scoot around. But what we wanted to do is make sure that it was clear, and that's why we put the yellow tape down. Like from here over, you'll be using the monitor mostly, and then also that we have that monitor. It's not a fix so that every seat can have some sort of viewing experience, and still be in the room and not feel like you're missing out. So it's the best kind of fix that we can make with our current setup to actually accommodate more choir members. So we've put these things into place so that people can, in quotes, judge for themselves where they want to sit. And I think this is really true for the bigger events.
Which we've got a few coming.
That some of our membership might want to say, oh, I'm going to get here early enough so that I'm not in an obstructed view, or I'd rather see the bodies than the TV screen.
Yeah.
I get that. So we're just kind of letting folks know, and it's in this, it's in the newsletter that comes out tomorrow, and we're going to keep it in the newsletter for a few weeks so that folks can see that and let folks know so that they're fully aware. But, you know, what we're trying to do is make it the entire sanctuary usable for any sort of event. So, yeah.
Very good.
So there we go. We did what we could.
Yes.
How
I
about
love
that? So, and that last choir safety barrier, by the way, Philip, looks really nice. It now feels complete along that wall, and it looks really good. Yeah, very much.
That'll be
so.
good. Yes.
Safe
Good
for
for
our
everybody.
folks not tripping or losing their balance and going over, which would be a catastrophe. You know, even at the end where it's only
Yeah.
18 inches high, if you tripped and fell,
No,
it would
yeah,
be
that's-
bad.
Yeah.
So it's really safe up there. But we just wanted to make sure that the viewing is good for everybody, or as good as we can get it. So we worked on that today. So I think that's good as well.
Wonderful.
But yeah, that's a good reminder. Don't forget this weekend, Saturday, 7 o'clock, and Sunday at 2 o'clock is our Christmas concerts. And same concert twice, and you can choose which one you want to come and see and experience not only the fun part of Christmas, but then kind of plumb the depths into the real meaning of Christmas. So it has both and I think both are good in the sense that we need something at times to bring on the holiday cheer. Yeah, it's good to have some cheer. And then it's also good to say beyond the holiday cheers, there's some joy that is even better than the holiday cheer. And so we're going to do both, and we'd love for you to see it. And yes, it'll be online, so you can catch it even if you're not going to be in town or you don't want to go out. You can catch it online. So
I love it.
So it's
I
all
love it.
it's all good.
Be great.
So today I got two things for you. We have an original song by Ashley Fuller,
Yeah.
one that she wrote after a very hard time in her life. But it's also a Christmas song. But before we get to that, I picked a video for us to watch that will lead right into the song. And the reason I picked this video is what Ashley went through and is sharing with us, and she talks about a little bit in the video,
Okay.
is not unique to her. In other words, we all have those kind of rough patches in our life. We all have moments where we're like, I don't want to go on.
Sure.
And this video is a reminder for us to hold on, not to give up,
Okay.
not to give in. And that video sets up what Ashley's going to sing
Okay.
about.
So we'll go right
so
from
it's
one to the other.
Yeah, so it's like a reinforcement. So I'm going to have you watch the screens because there are words on the screen that you're going to want to read, and then it'll flow right into Ashley talking about the song she wrote and then singing it. So both are for you, but the first one gets you ready to say, it's not just about Ashley, this is about me too. So let's take a look at both of those and we'll talk about it when we get back.
Thank you, Pastor Brian. Speaking of hope, I'm very grateful that Ravi has allowed us to do a song I wrote 7 years ago. And it's a song that I believe is about hope. And without going too far into the history of this song, I was at a time that was probably my lowest of child loss and embarking on a new journey as a mother. And I believe fully that God was with me the whole time. And now, seeing the whole journey of child loss and having a child survive that has disabilities, I see that we don't know how the darkest times in our lives can be such a blessing. And when we make it through them to the other side, not only do we give ourselves hope, but we give hope to others who walk in those same footsteps. And I'm very honored to share with you a song called A New Kind of Christmas, and we're going to play it for you right now. Thank you, Ravi. The Spirit is here. I see the smiles and cheer. I know this time of year brings such wonder and joy, but I can't help but dream, wishing every gathering I'd see you there, smiling, waiting for your special toy. There's nothing here to see, just a happy family. It's a new kind of Christmas for me. The lights, our favorite songs, the baking all day long, your head held high and strong, your heart weeps silently. There's nothing new to see, just our happy family. It's a new kind of Christmas for me. I've heard that time can heal, but I still want to feel the loss of you held in my soul, a flame that will never die. I'll keep your memory alive. I'll hang a sock for you after every year is through. I wish you came true. I'll wish it every day. It's you who should be with our happy family. It's a new kind of Christmas, a new
What a song.
Wow. Yeah, it hits just as hard this time
Right.
through. Yeah.
To be vulnerable enough to feel the pain, but yet not give up.
You feel that in the song. You feel all of those emotions.
Yeah. And there is something about being honest about the pain. It stinks.
Right.
Dare I say it sucks at times, right?
Yeah.
And acknowledging it. And you've touched on some of the Brene Brown stuff about moving forward is about some vulnerability.
Yeah.
And to name it, feel it, but also to stand outside of it and to be able to observe it a little bit. Stand outside of yourself to see that. And that takes a little bit of work,
Yeah.
but that allows those moments when that feeling, that loss crash over you again, to name it, to see it, to observe it, and literally let it pass like a wave recedes.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I wanted you to see that video beforehand as a reminder that we have a God who will show up in our lives. And it's not just a song where you go, oh, that's very touching, Ashley. No, I mean, you think about those hard parts in our lives, right? And you got to be able to name it and be able to see it in order to put it, not to forget, but to put it to bed in some ways. Not ever forget a loss or a painful moment.
You know, that's never going to go away.
No, but to be able to make sense of it and not have it be the lead narrative in your life. I think that's what I was trying to
Right.
say.
Right. And how to, what does it mean to live a life anew? I mean, these days are going to keep going on, and how do we move forward, knowing that loss is still with us?
It's a
but
part of who we are.
It is part of who we
Yeah.
are, but we're finding our way forward.
That's right. And I was just thinking about yesterday's Advent service, and Pastor Brian had me read something from Isaiah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but during the song think about in Isaiah where we hear the prophecy of who this Messiah will be. And then there are titles given. And his name shall be, and you hear a wonderful counselor, one who will give advice and help guide you through
Yeah.
hard parts, you know. And then that second one, everlasting Father, that we have this dad that we can go to. Whether you had a good childhood or not, there's still this everlasting Father that we can go to for anything. And Prince of Peace.
Yeah.
And I think part of being able to move forward is you got to name it to God too, right? Like,
Yeah. You do.
because if you stuff your feelings, if you hide what you're really feeling because you're afraid of yourself, then you never really move on. You keep spinning your wheels in that same place. And so being able to go to that Prince of Peace who wants to give you peace, go to that counselor who will give you that advice, that direction, to go to that everlasting Father just to lean on. Unless you acknowledge it, you can't bring that forward, right?
That's true.
And so I was thinking about some verses about not giving up. And then as it turns out, 2 out of the 3 verses are come out of the Bible in places that we never talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, we always make a mention if Titus or Jude come up.
Yes.
How about Zephaniah?
Zephaniah doesn't get don't get that corner of the Bible
That
too often.
doesn't get a lot of airplay.
No.
Right? But Zephaniah, listen to this. Chapter 3, verse 17, Zephaniah writes, he says, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves." I love that. It's like God's going to go to bat and fight your battles with you.
Yeah.
And maybe for you. I love that. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, that's chastise you, but will rejoice over you with singing. And so that encouragement of like, you got to go to God. You got to go to you got to go to Jesus because he's that mighty warrior who saves. In other words, he's going to go to bat for you, and I love
Right,
that.
and to have that kind of faith that
Yeah.
knows that when things are going wrong, no, we've got somebody who's going to stand up for us.
That's right.
We have someone, and we can rest assured in that, not living in worry or fear that it's us against the whole world that's
That's
falling
right.
down upon us.
Yep. And this is lived out in the moment when King David is about to face Goliath, the giant, the
Yeah,
Philistine.
yes.
And he gets down into the valley down there, Valley of Elah, and Goliath is like laughs at David. He's like, "What do you send a dog
Yes.
to me, like a little puppy? Like what is this about?" And David replies. He says, "This is not my battle. This is the Lord's." Like he acknowledges, like I have a mighty warrior who saves. Like he says it long before this was written.
Right.
But David's like, it's not my battle. This is God's battle. I'm just the instrument in this. And I love that kind of faith, and also the realness of when he goes to the stream for his slingshot, he has to get his rocks, right?
He has to get his smooth stones.
But he doesn't get one; he gets three.
Yeah.
And that's the realness of he's going to be prepared.
Yeah.
You know, and overconfidence is I just need one. You know, I'll never miss, right? He's getting three out, and I appreciate that. He's like, I want to be prepared, even
It
if
is a giant that I'm dealing with.
that's right.
here.
It may take more
Yes.
than one rock to put him down, right? and even acknowledging this is God's battle. In other words, God's going to help me in this.
Yeah.
And it did only take one stone because he landed, thwack right in the
He had
noggin.
it. Yeah.
Yep, broke his egg crate and took him down.
Yes, he did.
There it was.
Quite the story.
It is quite the story. Which, when you tell it that way, you think to yourself, why is this a story that we tell in Sunday school?
There is something about it though. Like when you're reading it, so much of the Bible, like it, you wish it would develop the story a little bit more. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you can tell there's a really big story there, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like, but it's like you get to that story, and everything is in full color. Like
It
that
is.
story is really told, and like you get the valley, the troops
Right.
built up. You see the fear,
All of it.
all of it, and then like going out and facing the giant.
Of
Like,
course, when we tell it in Sunday school, we end the story with Goliath going down. We don't go on and say, then David cut off his
yeah, he
head
took out,
and
took the
used his
giant's
head as a
sword and-
trophy.
Yeah. No, we that part gets left most
Most of the time, we
most
just
of
kind of
the
leave that one
children's Bibles,
behind,
that's-
right?
That's not in there.
Yeah. So, and which I'm glad for.
Hey, yeah,
right?
I think it yes, it holds even without that part.
But needless to say, we have a God who is a mighty warrior who saves, and not just against giants, but these spiritual obstacles that can feel like giants of loss and grief and uncertainty and despair and even the chaos of this life. I mean, talking about it, Advent perspective check. The opposite of hope is despair. This week we're coming into peace. The
Yeah.
opposite of peace is chaos. And that perspective check is we have a God who wants to move us through despair into hope.
we can live with a different perspective.
That's
We
right.
don't have to carry that chaos of the world or whatever that might be, despair.
That's right. And move us from chaos into peace. But you're not going to find it out there. This is where we find it, all of those things. And so think about God going to bat for you, but you got to name it for him to come to the rescue.
Yeah.
Now, Psalm 37, this is the most common of the three verses I'm using today, the Psalms.
The Psalms.
Yeah.
Yes, we find ourselves in the Psalms often enough. But Psalm
Yep.
37, beginning of verse 23 and then to 24. If the Lord delights in a person's way, God makes their steps firm. Though they stumble, they will not fall, for the Lord upholds them with his hand.
So the first thing you think is like, okay, if a person delights, or if God delights in a person's way, you go, okay, is that me? I've done
Yeah,
things that
you
just
question.
wouldn't. Yeah, you
Sure,
go. Well,
everybody
that may
does,
be for
yeah.
somebody else.
Yes,
But not
there's
for
always
me,
somebody who's
right.
they've got to be better off than I am.
Yeah, we do the comparison game, and all of a sudden, like, definitely God does not delight in the choices I've made, right? We all kind of go there. So you say, well, that's for somebody else. But let me define it for you so you understand. that delight is found by faith. God delights in those who trust him. Period. That's it. Not perfectly, because none of us are perfect, but has a modicum of faith and says, Lord, I'm going to need your help in this. And God delights in those who go to him, who are faithful. And then it says, God not only makes their steps firm, in other words, you're like, okay, I understand God's direction, precepts. Act justly, love mercy, walk humbly, love others the way that Jesus loves me. Okay, I'm going to attempt to do that. And that way you go, oh, well, then I know my next steps. I know what my response will be in any situation, right? So it's clear. But then it says this, though they stumble. We all stumble.
We all stumble.
So in other words, there's already the acknowledgement we're not going to get it right, but it says, but you won't fall, as in fall from grace, as in be removed permanently from the presence of God or God's help. Like you may stumble, I may stumble, not may, I have.
Yeah. Oh,
Will
yeah,
again,
we all
right?
do. Yeah.
And yet God says, it's okay. You're not going to fall forever, and I'm going to pick you up, dust you off, and I'm going to uphold you. So once again, don't give up.
I love that. And it just says, yeah, that line of though they stumble. Like,
Yeah.
I love
It's
that.
the
because
acknowledgement.
It recognizes everybody.
Because I'm really good at that. That's my spiritual
We all
my
need it.
spiritual strength is
We
stumbling.
all need it. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And then finally out of 2 Chronicles of all places.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a moment in Israel's history, and it's not the only one, where the nation has strayed from God. The leadership has strayed from God. The faith has waned in the people, and it's just not
which
good.
can happen. It's a human experience, right? Like
Yeah.
it can happen in anybody in our own journeys. We
Yeah.
get closer, we fall away. That's Israel's story.
Yep.
It's just times it gets closer.
And you
times
can even draw parallels to even here in 2024 that less people are connected to God than they were years ago. You see it in trends, you see it in studies. So same kind of thing. And during one of these times of struggling to stay faithful, a prophet shows up, Amahaz, and he says to Asa, who is going to be king,
Okay.
he says, God's telling me you got faith and you want to help the people draw close to God as a leader.
Okay.
He's like, here's your chance. And God says, go for it. Like God says, you have my full backing to draw people close to me, right? And this is how this prophecy ends to Asa. But as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded.
Huh.
And when I hear that for Asa, I think to myself, that applies to us too, you know? Be strong, don't give up. And when you keep walking in faith, you will be rewarded. Like you'll be more sure in who you are and who you belong to. And one day we walk through and into heaven, like you will be rewarded. And so not only was that word for Asa in that moment, but I think that same sentiment is as a person of faith who's going to go through the ups and downs, like Ashley has, like we all have, and not to give up. And in that you will be rewarded. And I think in some ways what you saw in Ashley's testimony at the beginning of that song is she said, now that I've been through that, I see that God has been with me the whole time. And then there's that aha moment or that reward in a lot of ways, like, oh, I didn't do this alone. And I think that's the same thing for all of us, whether this year is a harder year than most or it's just a normal year for you. Like, don't give up. God's going to walk with us, especially those who call out to him.
Yeah.
Because we got that everlasting Father on our side.
Yes. Yes.
So
we need.
yeah, so thanks for joining us today. It is the beginning of a big weekend for us. Don't forget Christmas concerts Saturday night at 7 and Sunday at 2, plus Saturday night worship, and then Sunday morning 8, 9:30, and 11.
Just
We're
camp
gonna-
out. Stay here the whole time.
That's what I'm doing.
All right.
We're having one big weekend lock over here.
Yes.
Lock in at church
yes.
here, right?
Plenty of cookies, I think.
I think so. That's what we will survive on. So, anyways, we hope to see you at something this weekend where I'm going to talk about peace and how we can find that peace in our lives in the midst of chaos.
Okay.
So, with that,
Great.
thank you for joining us. We love you. Take care. God bless you. And we'll see you real soon. And Philip, will you play us out?